girl, bring Carminthia on. She got to listen to this. She got to listen. She got to listen to this. I mean, this is some hot mess. This is some hot, foolish mess. It says Bottoms first hinted at the possible run earlier this month during an appearance at Leading Women Defined Summit in California to BET, according to BET. It says, and BET is owned by some racist ass white folks, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, it has been for decades, but let me swipe in the booty. Okay, it says Bottoms served as Atlanta mayor between 2019 and 2022, 2018 and 2022. During her term, she was praised for her work on social justice issues by getting that little 8-year-old girl. I'm about to start cussing. And affordable houses. Her administration also faced major challenges, including massive cyber attacks, federal corruption investigations, including members of Kasim Reed's team. However, Bottoms also faced criticism over raising violent crime in Atlanta and her handling over the scam-damn-demic. You know what? Let me tell you who Carminthia is, and if that's the case, she can run for governor. I mean, listen to this. Carminthia Moore is a woman of faith who has lived her values, served her fellow man, and is now ready to serve all of her fellow Georgians. Growing up in low-income, high-crime communities like Democrat-ran cities, Carminthia learned firsthand about the dangers of government tyranny. High five, girl. While early life experiences gave her a true appreciation for the contrast she experienced when she moved to the East Cobb during her high school years, attending Walton County High School. What's up, Loganville? I mean, let me get stopped there. Highlight and stark contrast to the Title I school she once was entrapped. California Carminthia is now ready to fight to prevent Georgia from acceding to the government overreach from where she escaped. Girl, how you doing? All y'all do is turn on your microphone. That's it. Dave?
There you go. Can you hear me?
Girl, can you tell them about you running and how they tripped you up? How you doing, Miss Moore?
I am doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on. How are you?
Pretty good until I read about Keisha Lance Bottom actually running for the governor of Georgia.
Yes, that was very interesting to read. Considering she left the job. She left the job when the job was hot, and now you want to come back. That's very, perplexing to me because the last thing I remember were you crying and telling people put the liquor bottles down.
Ooh.
And then you walked off the job during the riots. So now you couldn't handle Atlanta, and you think we want to put the state of Georgia in your hands. No, no.
They couldn't find nobody else, Kasim Reed or anybody else but Keisha Lance Bottom. Again, it's like Stacey Abrams 3.5, but she has nothing to run on but a dead little girl body because of her. I still remember the summer of love and the riots and what went down in Atlanta under her watch. Them going on 85, them going on 75, them blocking traffic. They sitting there, they burning
CNN
down
Center.
burning down restaurants and everything. And you think if you couldn't handle just the city of Atlanta, and we know she's from the Cascade Mafia, so if she can't handle the city of Atlanta, how she thinks she finna take on the alumni of UGA?
Exactly. She, one of the things about the Democrats is they stick together. They don't care about your record. And that's why Republicans, conservatives, libertarians, all of us have to get out and vote and say no to this nonsense. We do not want the rest of Georgia to be Atlanta. And it has not been. Atlanta proper has not been successful. Atlanta is being held up by red counties that surround them, whether it's Cobb County, East Cobb County, Alpharetta, all of those places. So when people say Atlanta now, they're really talking about the suburbs of Atlanta. They really are not talking about Atlanta. And that's what's holding them up in regards to businesses. And that's why people still move to, quote unquote, Atlanta, because they're moving to the suburbs of Atlanta. If they had to live in Atlanta proper, downtown Atlanta, that's being ran by Democrats, Atlanta would cease to exist.
It's right now. It's ceasing to exist. People's like, well, how was it you growing up? Oh, I went to Cascade. I mean, I went to the skating rinks. I was over there on Candler Road. I was out there at the flea markets. But we had a sense of pride about ourselves too. Yeah, we went cruising
Absolutely.
and the rest of it. What we grew up with is when the real grandmothers, granddaddies, fathers, aunties, uncles still had enough authority in our community to jack us up no matter what. And then I don't know,
Absolutely.
something in the last 20 years shook a loose.
Absolutely. And we see what happened. Buckhead has been so overrun right now with crime and everything else that's been happening. This happened under her watch,
Mm-hmm.
to the point where they're like, you know what? We want our own Buckhead City, because we want our own police departments. We want our own county city officials, because they have become so corrupt, and she was so mismanaging the area, that there was a set of people who wanted more government. And as Republicans, conservatives, we want less
Right.
government. But we were ready to put another layer of government because it was so mismanaged by her. And so now you want to come take over the whole state. And I just say no, absolutely. That's a pass for me, a hard pass.
How in the world, if she's going to be the city of Atlanta, Atlanta didn't do anything but gentrify itself. So, but you still have the underlying problem. You still have the corruption from within. So, why a woman who was over that corruption, turned a blind eye to that corruption, actually was part of that corruption? Why do you think we want you to be the governor of Georgia when we're trying to fix the corruption that's already within?
Because she's used to Democrats sticking together. They do not care about your record. They will run anybody and anything and make their voters believe. They really think that their voters are that naive, that, I don't want to call them dumb, but they don't think they're bright at all, because they will run a donkey and literally expect to win.
If you're out there in a riot and WAP came on and you dropped your ass, and I could take it. Wait a minute for my all my it's 99 in the 2000. When we backing it up with clothes on. Okay, it is what it is. But when you're seeing people, and I could take it right, I'm seeing the riot. I'm literally seeing
Yeah.
that riot in front of that store. All those people, the parents turning the car around, and I'm sick because they showed it live. I mean, and
Yes,
then they
yes.
started repeating it. We remember what happened during the 2020 riots. We remember the Summer
Yeah.
of Love, and we remember how they destroyed Atlanta there, and she had no control whatsoever. That was her fault.
Yeah, she was more committed to social, virtue signaling than she was to justice and the law. And that came with grave consequences. That caused businesses to shut down. CNN said after that, they were like, we will not do business anymore. They started looking for new buildings. We remember exactly when these things happened.
Wait a
And
minute, didn't
these,
you run for
again,
office?
it happened under her watch.
You ran for office too.
I did. I did.
How
I
did
ran
they
for
treat you?
office. I think it was 2022.
How they
Yes.
how they treat you?
Oh, goodness. Well, uh, it's not for the faint at heart, right? But, I ran with a mission in mind. I ran for a reason. I ran for a cause. I ran for simply we have to stop killing our babies, especially our Black babies. Genocide is a real thing. We have to stop the genocide, and we have to educate our community. The most racist thing you can do is tell you to kill yourself.
Boom.
And that's basically what they've been doing since Roe versus Wade, is saying go kill yourself. And all they did was change the little word and then say, oh, it's your right, right? And so it's your right to kill yourself. The same babies we used to hide from master to keep them from
Yeah.
selling them off. Now we go and rightfully kill ourselves, and now we're below the rate of replacement. So our leaders, when you have Stacey Abrams saying, oh, there's not really a heartbeat, and telling us that, Black women, you should be free to kill off your next generation. And now we have every other race that we're no longer the minority anymore. Like, we're literally below the rate of replacement. We were
Absolutely.
really
But that
in the
was a
state
plan.
of genocide. Say again?
That was a plan. I stopped talking
That
about
was the plan.
when I found out, and it was like 3 years ago, that since 1972, all the way
Yes.
until I started paying attention to the numbers, black people have been 12 to 13%. And then you look now, we're still 12, 13%. But what nobody talks about is that they slaughtered 25 million babies in the womb, and you destroyed 4 generations. Well, technically,
4 generations.
yes.
We basically wiped out, and I know you know these numbers, 50% of our black population, and we're still fighting for to be seen. And can you imagine, even for those who are not religious or anything, but can you imagine the economic impact if we would have grew by 50%?
Woo!
We would literally right now be about 30% of the population versus this 12% of the population. The truth of the matter is our reproductive rate at that time was 6 babies per household.
Mm-hmm.
If we would have kept those same numbers, we would have actually been closer to a majority than a minority in the population, outnumbering, because behind Hispanics at the time, we were the second most populous in regards to having babies.
We spend the most money to not have an economic stronghold, and people don't get it, but they will look at you because you're running on a Republican, conservative, less taxes, less government, more self-responsibility ticket instead of a victim mentality and then I can't get nowhere ticket. I'm trying to figure out, why did they hate on you, hate on us, and not want to help us, not want to throw their weight behind us, always saying, wait your turn, you're not polished enough, you ain't had enough blood, sweat, and tears. Crawling out of where we crawled out of is enough sweat and tears to not look back, but throw your hand back there and see how many other people that you could get to hook onto you so you can pull them forward instead of always arguing. How do you argue with a Democrat when you don't even know what a true black woman is if you're calling Kamala your black woman?
Exactly. Well, when you're not for sale, that's problematic. And I am extremely conservative, but we also have some, and I don't want to say the wrong thing on your show, but we have some people who are career politicians.
You remember?
And basically they control things. Say that.
When you first met me, what did you say?
I already know.
What did when you called the minister of truth? What did he tell you about me?
Yes, we know. You're going to speak your mind. You're going to say what needs to be said.
I have told you from day one, your first day you called me, you better speak your mind.
Absolutely.
And the rest will follow. I mean, you're going to lose some friends. You're gonna pull back that curtain. You're going to find out who your true people are. You're going to find out the rhinos are. You're going to find out who the jacklegs in the conservative movement, Republican, especially in the state of Georgia. And I said because I remember what seat you was running for. District 30. No, yeah, House
45.
Yeah, girl,
District 45. I was running against the longest serving Republican here in the House, here in Georgia. And the reason why I ran against her was because 2 things. She is one of the 2 Republicans that did not vote to stop abortion here in Georgia. And secondly, she is one of the 2 Republicans, it's the same 2 Republicans, one of the 2 Republicans in the House who refused to vote for a bill that would stop transgender surgery against minors.
Go ahead and tell them who they are. I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, Sharon Cooper and Deborah Silcox. And they're the only 2, those 2 things, the 2 biggest platform we have is don't mess with our children and stop killing our babies.
Boom.
Right? The 2 biggest platform, and you're supposed to be conservative Republican, and you stood against those 2 things. And so I felt that as a Republican, look, either you're going to, put on the jersey or get off the field. You can't keep saying you're a Republican and you do things against our 2 biggest platforms. Stop killing our babies and stop messing with our children. Mm-hmm. And of course, all you had to do was follow the money. $1.9 million she was funded over the years, and almost 75% of that came from Big Pharma and the healthcare industry. So it didn't take me long to figure out why was she supporting this stuff.
That we had our own swamp inside of it, and I told you who the key people were. I told you who was giving her money, and I'm so glad you didn't stop. I mean,
no,
I'm sorry you had to get battered. I mean, because you had to figure out who was real and who wasn't. Because, like I told you, girl, it's a game, and they don't care about
Oh, it
you.
is.
It's a game.
It's a big money game. It's a big money game, and if you don't have the people, the ground game to get to every single door, and really get to people, because sometimes
Say it. Say it.
black people, right?
Mm-hmm.
We get so caught up in what the media tell us our social issues are. We don't believe in transgender surgery.
Nope.
We don't believe with you messing with our babies.
Nope.
We tired of you drugging our kids, talking about they got ADHD and they want to drug you in school and have you on Ritalin and Adderall. And now we know those are Class C drugs that's equivalent to cocaine. But if you don't put your kids on that drug, they have defects at your door because they terrorize black people with defects and they terrorize white people with the IRS.
Woo!
So they've been terrorizing our neighborhoods with defects for the longest, because if you don't put your kids on these drugs, we're going to be knocking at your door. Now, one of those drugs, I can't remember, it's Adderall or Ritalin, getting sued because we know that those drugs are giving our boys breast tissue. So it's like, I'm on your side. Oh, you're not black because you're with Republican. No, I'm on your side, fool. I am trying to help you, help me right this wrong. It's our kids that they started all these experimental drugs on. It was our inner city schools where they were coming in saying your black boy can't sit still. He's not supposed to sit still for 8 hours. That's why God made him that way. And they've been drugging our kids, and by the time they're 18 and they don't have that Medicaid card anymore, what were they doing? They was transitioning to the harder drugs, and there was this direct pipeline to prison. And I'm like, we know this. We talk about this at the kitchen table. We talk about how angry we are because they want to give our kids pill after pill after pill. And if you don't answer to them, they want to threaten you with defects. But when you come in the ring and fight for it, and we come back and say, you know what? These Democrats ain't listening to this because actually they don't have no power because they ran by the lobbyists. They ran by Big Pharma.
Think about what you're saying right now. Really think about what you're saying. The private prison industrial complex. When we used to listen to hip hop, the hippie to the hip.
Yes.
Early 90s is when they started transferring not only the CIA pumping more drugs inside of the black community, but also you started seeing more private of industrial prisons. You started seeing a lot of the police coming straight from the underground, stuff that just build pure rage. And then you saw a lot of lax laws as they're pushing these narcotics and pharmaceutical products into the black community because they needed free and cheap damn labor. And the only reason why they said anything about it is because it hit suburbia and the gated community.
That's the only reason why. And now it's not called drug addiction, it's called mental illness.
Woo!
And I'm trying to tell black people, I said, you know what? Not black people. I'm trying to tell all
Everybody.
People. Stop falling for this mental illness thing. That is just another way to start drugging you, because what they're doing across states is they're passing these bills like 1013 that we had, HB 1013 we had in Georgia. And basically they're trying to change these mental illness bills, and they're making it seem like, oh, we're doing it out of benevolence, right? So you can have parity, so you can go, your insurance will pay for it. But what it's doing, we looked at that bill, and used to be where it would say that imminent threat, they wanted to change the word to reasonable expectation that you will be a harm to yourself or other. That they can remove you off the street and drug you, up to drug you, right?
You sound like a movie.
We hear about what happened to Kanye and all of these people where there's like, oh, they're on a mental hold. And then they go and drug them, and you never come back the same. And so they're passing bills state by state. Georgia had, 3 of them? Ooh. Already. HB 1013, we had HB 628, 522. We had all these bills that basically is saying that we can drug you. And when you really look at it, Lucretia, if we really look at it, we have been the guinea pigs for a long time. Back in early 1400s up to the 1800s, they used to use the mental institution to do science experiment. So we know they used to use slaves back in the day. Then we know about the Tuskegee experiment. Then you had something called Buck versus Bell, where they can go around and all they had to say is that you were feeble-minded and they were able to sterilize you, right?
You better
Then
say
they
it.
used the mental institution, and then with the mental institution, they can do all kind of experiments because you're ward of the state. You have no rights, right?
Yes.
So when the mental institution started to fade, they started using the prisons. Talk to any felon who's been in jail for a long time about how they come and try to get them to do all these drug trials. And they're like, nah, I remember such and such went in there. He never came back. His mind was never right when he came out of there. So they started getting advocates that were saying, no, you can't use our prisoners as human experiments. So they're going back around that certain, of course, they use the poor. So they're going back around that cycle. And so
think about who they tested on now during the scam. Let's take the clot shot. Let's take COVID. What was the stipulation of these inmates and all those people that was locked up? You either take all the medications, you either do everything we say, or you don't get out of jail. But what does the Bible say? Who would they use first? Prisoners, and then our children. So when they started using the prisoners, all of a sudden no kid could get it. Then all of a sudden every child could get it. And then they started going into the schools. Once they went into the schools, they started going into these maternity hospitals and clinics. And now, oh, girl, they Tuskegee and everybody.
Lucretia, we're passing bills right now where we're trying to put mental health and psychiatrists, not psychologists, psychiatrists, meaning they can prescribe medicine. And okay, I'm gonna take you back. So several years back, right, 20 years ago, they passed a bill where a parent couldn't be in the doctor's room with a minor, right? And they said, okay, all of this is always done under the guise of it's benevolent, right? So you can't be in the doctor's room because if the child's been raped or incest or something like that, we want to be able to have an opportunity to communicate with the child, right?
Yes.
So we can expose all of that. So, of course, it sounds benevolent. Yes, because there's just so many children out there that's getting raped or incest, and therefore you need to put the child in the room with a stranger that they may have seen once a year, and they're going to feel so comfortable with that stranger that they see once a year that they're going to tell them that they're being sexually molested. Okay, that's not going to happen, right?
But they do
they're
that.
Going to tell somebody, they're going to tell the teacher. Say again?
They actually do it. The psychiatrists, they actually do that. You keep talking. I have just, while I was over here, like, what's she doing? I just pulled up the 45 rules of coming as goes. You keep talking about that, and while you saying that, I'm going to tell you when they started actually putting this out there. Wait, what does it do?
Yes. So basically, they were trying to get families, people comfortable with taking their child into a doctor's office, and we don't have family doctors like we used to when you've known them all your life, right? And leaving your child in there, and that child's supposed to expose all the deepest, darkest secret. If a child's going to expose her deepest, darkest secret, it's going to be with somebody they know, their teacher, someone at school, things of that nature. They might talk to them, but they're not going into a stranger's office and having this type of conversation. But we gave up those rights. We passed those bills. So now that same bill, once they start putting these doctors and psychiatrists in the school systems, guess what happens?
Yes.
It usurps the parental rights. Because if the child talks to the doctor in school and say, oh, I'm confused about my gender, right? Or, oops, I think I'm pregnant, I need an abortion pill.
Yep, without the mother's and the parents' consent.
Without the mother-parent consent. And do you know how dangerous these things are? The abortion pill, they can come home and hemorrhage. You have no idea your baby been given this pill.
Are you ready for this? Everything that you just said, was brought to you by the 45 Rules of Communist Gold that was read into congressional record in 1963 by Albert Shalom of Florida, congressman. Listen to this one. 38, transfer some of the powers of arrest from police to social agencies. Treat all behavioral problems as psychiatric disorders, which no one but psychiatrists can understand or treat. It says 39, dominate the psychiatric profession. Use mental health laws as a mean of gaining cohesive control over those who oppose the communist goals. Psychiatry remains a bullish of the communist agenda for fostering self-criticism and docility. 40, discredit the family as an institution. Encourage promiscuity and easy divorce. Done. The sovereignty of family is the single most powerful obstacle, authoritarian of control. 41, emphasize the need to raise children away from negative influence of parents. Attribute prejudice, mental blocks, retarding of children to suppressive influence of their family and the outcome-based education, values, clarifications, or whatever they're calling it this year.
Wow.
That was read in 1963. I was born in 74. It's 2025, and it's like they are accomplishing destroying the family unit to where even God don't mean what God is supposed to actually mean. And for the Black community, Hispanic community, and I'm even say the white community, being an American, God has always been a cornerstone of everybody's faith and family, no matter what neck of the woods you come from. And in the last 20 years, I've never heard so many different people from every walk of life, from every profession, declare there is no God. And if you do believe in him, you need to be put on some kind of psychiatric medications, or you need to go see a therapist. Please explain that.
So basically, we all know that this is a spiritual attack. The whole thing, Genesis 1:26, 27, 28, it said God made them what? In his image, to do what? To be fruitful and multiply.
Absolutely.
Then 3:16, Genesis 3:16, the attack came when God cursed them. He said, and he would you would scratch his heel, but he will crush your head. So Satan has been after the seed of the woman since the absolute beginning. Right?
Oh, girl.
And so
who is the main front of turmoil and blasphemy right about now? The women. The women. The Democratic Party. The Democratic Party has taken women folk and turned them into the new Liliths.
Yes. That's exactly what they're doing. And I talk to especially my Christian Democrat friends. I'm like, how can you stand behind a platform that all they do is attack gender and kill babies, child sacrifice? And then this mental illness thing, it's like, we are like, we can't touch mental illness. They made it taboo for us to touch mental illness. And I'm like, mental illness is all through the Bible. I mean, Nebuchadnezzar walked around, thought he was a dog for 7 years.
The one man that had mental illness. Legion of Saul
demons. Was bipolar.
And
King Saul was bipolar.
Guy that approached Jesus and said that we are a legion that is in him.
Legions. Right? That would be considered what is called disorder. Oh goodness, can't think. Dissociate disorder.
I call it bipolar.
Right?
Being a
That's
Gemini.
what we would call it now. I've done a whole list. I'm actually writing on this about mental illness and what the Bible actually say about it. And I'm telling people, stop telling people you're taking a mental health day, because they have to mark that down in your records that you're taking a mental health day.
Yep.
Stop. And when your children have to fill out these psychological surveys in school, tell them not to fill those things out, because they're creating a database. Well, they're not creating it. There is a database that's tracking their mental illness, and they're using DSM-5, which is the WHO organization, is all up under American Psychiatric War, psychiatric. Oh goodness,
I know who you're talking about. The American Psychiatric Society. So it's like
society,
yes.
Which we know is all demonic. We know that they have no interest in your well-being. They have no interest in nothing that has to do with health, right? And when you read some of the things that they have that they consider mental disorders, like prolonged mourning, like you've been weeping too long about or mourning over. I, my father died when I was 13. One Father's Day, I was at TJ Maxx coming home and, thinking about him, I started crying. And I thought about it, I said, Lord, if the police pull me over
They're going to think you had a mental
and they're
illness.
like, man, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? And I'm like, oh, my father passed. And I was just thinking about him. When did he pass? And I'm like, when I was 13. Clearly, I don't look 13. That would be reason enough for them to declare that I have a mental disorder.
Why? Because you miss
According
your
to
daddy?
DSM-5.
Because you
And
miss your
actually can
father.
remove me from society, can actually drug me, because these bills are saying that they can do these things, remove you up to drugging you.
Whoa, is that the 72-hour hold?
Oh, okay. So what they're doing, the 72-hour hold is a pleasure of the past. Because what they're doing is stringing together like 4 or 5 bills where they can hold you for a multitude of months without ever seeing the judge, simply under a psychiatric hold. One of the reviews that I was looking at two summers ago, because
Hold
all
up.
of their work happened during the summer.
Wait a
They
minute.
were looking at ways where they could bypass the emergency room, because if you go into the emergency room, your lab results have to come back before they can do a psychiatric hold.
Right.
They were complaining that waiting on labs was prolonging people's access to being put into these mental institutions. So they want to bypass lab results so that they can take them directly into the mental hold piece. How many of us know that a bad thyroid can have you mentally unstable? Something in your brain, a tumor in your brain, hormone imbalance. There's several things that's not uh, from your psyche that can cause you to seem to be mentally confused. So why would you want to bypass checking my labs to make sure my thyroid is functioning properly? I don't have any other things that could be causing me to come across as mentally ill. Why would you be pushing for that?
Because it's easier
Right?
and much control over anybody. And it seems like, did we watch a movie of this where they are trying to predict if you're going to do something or not in the future,
Absolutely.
or your bloodline? So let's go ahead and label you. Holy,
Yes.
wasn't there another movie where they put like a barcode of how many days that you have left on Earth, in every citation or ticket you get, it ticks down your life expectancy?
Yes, that was Justin Timberlake. Out of Time, was that the name of the movie?
I don't know. It creeped me out. I was like, how are you gonna sit here and okay, I got to tell you, I wasn't a good girl growing up. I had good parents. I had great grandparents, but I decided to go out there and be shady and have 4 kids before I was 20. But thank God I changed my life around by the age of 25. They wouldn't have gave me a damn chance in the world.
No, because they don't believe in the Redeemer. If you look through the Bible and see who God redeemed and used, all of them, at least 99% of them, would have been called mentally ill. You got the prodigal son that went out and wasted his life, is down eating slop from with the pigs. Clearly, he has to be mentally ill. But he's a story that we remember day in and day out when we think about that, those two sons and the father. They don't believe that God can redeem us.
Amen.
They don't want us to believe that God can redeem us. That's why they want us to go straight to the drugs, because God said he wants to renew the mind. If they can get control of that mind, it makes it harder for us to make a clear decision about God. So Satan is using our insecurities, our greed, our thirst for power, right? And I'm talking about our as in mankind, not mine. Our as in mankind thirst for power to do his dirty work, which is for him to fight God, because he know he can't be God.
Amen.
So what does he use? His people, right? Same thing about abortion. right? Why was he killing the Hebrew
Because they
boys?
wanted to kill the bloodline of Jesus, or at least to get him. Girl!
They said when Herod said when Pharaoh said they're growing in number, they're multiplying, so let's go kill their firstborn, because he was scared that they were going to grow in the numbers and attack him. But see, Satan knew the promised seed was coming, and what was coming was Moses, who was coming with the law.
Girl,
And he
think about
used
it. That is
man's insecurity, and they don't realize that, oh no, see, they started killing the Hebrew boys two chapters later. Guess who they're killing? Themselves.
girl, think about it. If we've wiped
Okay,
away almost
just
4
like
generations.
abortion today, they started out killing black
Yes.
babies. Now guess who they're killing? All babies.
All
They
babies.
started out with Margaret Sanger and all of those races, insecurities and their hate and their bigotry. But Satan was after all our babies. He wasn't just after the black babies, but he used that. And we see that over and over and over again in the Bible. And when people say the Bible ain't real, I'm like, it's repeating itself.
Every day.
It's telling you what's going to happen next. You just won't read and listen and pay attention.
Girl, we got 2 minutes left. When you coming back on the show? Because we didn't even crack nothing.
Oh, goodness, because we still got to talk about Kiki. And look, if I was a Democrat strategist, I would tell y'all about as dumb as a box of rocks, because y'all do have a secret weapon over there that's a little moderate, but I don't want to say it too loud because they might go get them.
Don't give them no ideas.
So, huh?
Don't give these people no ideas, please. Don't.
No, I don't want to tell them. You might go get them, but we have to. We still have to be careful, because there's a huge split in the party.
Yes.
And there's some who would rather see it sink than to try to come together. So we're going to have to be real careful.
Go ahead and call me.
We're going to have to learn how to be strategic.
Go ahead and call me so I can tell you who those damn people are too, honey. Don't you get in that squabble. I told you before. Don't get in with there's an extreme group on this side. You got the Rhino Kemp followers. Stay neutral.
I'm a me.
Stay in the middle.
I follow the Lord. I'm Team
God.
Jesus.
I'm sitting here watching it, especially this election cycle. And now that Brian Kemp is going to become chancellor of UGA, I ain't taking it back either. That opened up a hotline and a whirlwind. You're about to see so much infighting, not only on the Democratic ticket, but also the Republican ticket of Georgia. Stacey Abrams don't have that much calling anymore. Keisha Lance Bottoms really ain't got that big of a voice anymore. I'm telling you, all of this right now between the Republicans on one side, the Democrats on the other side, stay out of them fights. We're just going to report on them.
When I tell you, I have to stay out of them, because, people are just not making sense to me right now. They don't know how to win.
Don't even worry about it. But Dave said you got 1 minute left. He said, tell everybody where to find you. We're going to go ahead and reschedule for a whole nother show, and then tell people how they can actually, watch you also. Go ahead.
Yes, my name is Carminthia Moore. You can find me at C Moore Report, or Carminthia C Moore for Georgia, on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. C Moore for Georgia, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, as a matter of fact. So, go out, follow me. I have a lot to say about how we can really tackle the issues and not this nonsense that we continue to focus on.
Well, I will be calling you after the show. I'm going to hurry up and make this up because before Zoom cut you off. I'm going to call you after the show. You will be coming back. We need to expand.
Thank you for having me.
We need to expand your voice a little bit louder. I've always told you, girl, I got you. And now there's some people, God, just in case she's listening, there's some people right now, Carminthia, look at me.
Dear friends, family, and supporters, my name is Nadia Hamilton, Lucretia's niece, and I'm reaching out with an urgent plea to help save the home of Lucretia Hughes, a true American patriot, a devoted mother, and passionate advocate for freedom. Lucretia has faced unimaginable challenges, including the tragic loss of her son to gun violence in 2016. Yet she continues to fight for saving America our veterans, and your Second Amendment rights with unwavering strength. We are launching this Give, Send, Go campaign to raise $350,000 to help Lucretia keep her home, provide stability for her family, and continue the messaging for our country. Your support can make a real impact. Lucretia has always been there for others, speaking out against injustice and supporting causes that matter. Now it is our turn to stand by her. Every donation, no matter how small, brings us closer to securing her home and giving her the peace of mind she deserves. Click the link below to contribute any amount you can. Every dollar counts. If you can't donate, please keep Lucretia and her family in your prayers. Spread the word by sharing this campaign on social media, with friends, and in your community. The more people who see this, the closer we get to our goal. Thank you for rallying around Lucretia in her time of need. Together, we can keep her home and continue her powerful work. Let's show her she's not alone in this fight.
Back to you, Carminthia. I'm going to tell you this right now. We need to have a special show. So I will be calling you afterwards to talk to you. You doing your own platform. I think you have picked up a lot of people that are very interested in what you have to say. And more people need to hear what you got to say. So thank you to Minister of Truth of Derek Grayson about 5 years ago. Yeah. She just happened to call me out the blue, and she was like, Derek Grayson gave me your number. He did? Yeah, he told you